Good evening. My name's George Matlich, and I'm the chairman of the board of the American Prairie Reserve. Welcome to American Prairie Reserve's 2018 Ken Burns American Heritage Prize presentation event. We're here tonight in the American Museum of Natural History for what is becoming a new and important tradition, an event honoring individuals whose achievements remind us of our heritage. Tonight, we celebrate the missions of American Prairie Reserve and Ken Burns as we honor the accomplishments of Maya Lin.
The American Prairie Reserve's National Prize, which I am so honored to have named for me, seeks to recognize extraordinary women and men whose body of work in multiple disciplines has advanced our understanding of America and the capacity of Americans to accomplish extraordinary things. I can imagine no individual whose accomplishments more successfully satisfy the mandates for this prize than Maya Lin. She is profoundly serious and direct, playful and ingenious, utterly human and transcendent, incredibly vulnerable and hugely courageous. As an artist, designer, and environmentalist, Maya's creations interpret the beauty of the natural world as exhibited in the majesty of the American landscape, land as remarkable as that being recaptured by the American Prairie Reserve.
In building American Prairie Reserve, we are honoring our country's conservation legacy. It was here, of course, in the United States where the very idea of a national park was born. But we skipped over the grasslands. We skipped over our American Serengeti. And that's what American Prairie Reserve aims to do. We aim to finally create a park on our nation's grasslands. In so doing, we can honor a landscape that Native Americans have called home for generations. We can honor a landscape that 19th century explorers just marveled at. In the 21st century, we can protect big swaths of biodiversity. We are here tonight because we share a common bond. We have great respect and admiration for men and women in our country whose courage and imagination and creativity have contributed to the fabric of our society and the history of our culture.
We all take great pride in our country. We all want to make certain that the best of our country is propelled forward, and that when this award is announced and was announced, people would say, yes, the American Prairie Reserve is doing something good for America, because not only is it preserving important lands, it is honoring people who deserve this award because they're great Americans. And so we were very pleased with, we were very pleased with Maya Lin's selection, and Ken will talk about her shortly. But I just wanted to thank all of you. By supporting the American Prairie Reserve, are doing something I think is very patriotic for our country, because we aren't going to have land like this forever unless we preserve it. And we aren't going to be able to tell our children and our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, about the best of America if we don't preserve the best of America. So those who are behind the American Prairie Reserve, my hats are off to you, and I want to thank all of you for coming tonight and really supporting this important national treasure, the American Prairie Reserve, and supporting Maya Lin as our award winner this year.
Ken Burns' films on Lewis and Clark and America's national parks reintroduced us to the majesty of our West, its geography, and those who saw it first, and those who later braved its challenges and stayed. American Prairie Reserve is located in the very heart of Lewis and Clark's journey, central Montana, big sky country, where our eyes can explore 100 miles in every direction. Now, thanks to many of you, what we see when we travel to American Prairie Reserve is what Native Americans and our forefathers and mothers experienced more than 200 years ago. The land is being returned to its natural beauty, and native animals are rediscovering their habitats. American Prairie Reserve is engaging local people in this effort, including the ranching communities surrounding the reserve's lands and the Native American people who have called this place home for millennia. It's not challenging to connect the missions of American Prairie Reserve and Ken Burns. One is dedicated to recapturing land that defines our country. The other is committed to the production of films reminding us of those whose dreams and deeds made us who we are. As Americans and visitors to our country come to enjoy this beautiful part of America, they will learn the rich and varied history of this landscape and the stories of the people who shaped it.
As an impossibly young, but also impossibly elegant 21-year-old undergraduate at Yale, Maya's concept for honoring those who made the greatest sacrifice in the Vietnam War redefined American monuments and stands as one of the most compelling and emotionally powerful memorials ever created in the history of humankind. Since 2010, she has devoted much of her time and passion to addressing the biodiversity lost in our Earth's mass extinctions with the founding of her What Is Missing Foundation, integrating sound, media, science, and of course, art. She is engaged in what she has defined as her final memorial, a monumental endeavor dedicated to inspiring all of us to protect and preserve nature's fleeting treasures. Here, her dedication to the natural world intersects with American Prairie Reserve's ambitious goals. As Maya and What Is Missing shine a light on threatened species, ecosystems, American Prairie Reserve's mission is to protect one of our continent's greatest biomes, our grasslands. Maya herself is dedicated to protecting large swaths of our nation's prairies and the importance of doing so for the wildlife that call it home, for our waterways, and for our planet's overall health and very survival.
My work with What Is Missing and the American Prairie Foundation's work on restoring the prairie have converged. I have been obsessed with restoring the grasslands for the last 10 or 15 years. I focus my attention to the groups that are doing the work, but as an artist, can I get you to rethink the problem? Is the problem just one of population, or is it really about land use and resource consumption? Can we envision a map that balances our needs with the needs of the planet? Because the last great hope of avoiding catastrophic climate change may lie in the soil beneath our feet. Look around in every corner of the compass, and there you are as if on the ocean, not a landmark, not a vestige of any human but yourself. Instead of sky and water, it is one vast field, bounded by only the horizon, its surface gently undulating like the waves of the ocean. And as the wind, which always blows fresh on the prairies, bows down the heads of the high grass, it gives you the idea of a running swell. With conservation, nature is resilient. It comes back. Tonight, I am dedicating this prize, the prize monies from this great award, to both the American Prairie Reserve and to What Is Missing. For I believe nature is our greatest hope for fixing climate change and protecting this planet's amazing biodiversity and us. I thank you all for this incredible honor.